Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
I got a confession to make. A little upon further review, Jamie.
Okay.
It's Hereford that has the big cow, not Muleshoe.
Okay.
So it's my bad. But
okay.
Thanks to the texter.
I have seen pictures of the Hereford one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big, huge Hereford one.
Yeah. So thanks to the texter that says which
Muleshoe
team
does not have one as well?
They do not.
Okay.
Which team has the heifer? It's the Wildcats versus the Mules. Yeah. You know, when I saw that, and you're right. Thank you, texter. Thank you for helping me. Yeah, I thought, it's Hereford that's got that. It's kind of in the same general neighborhood, I think, isn't it? Muleshoe and Hereford, I think they're in similar proximity.
I think they're both in that same direction.
Yeah.
I believe they are.
But I mean, don't get out your MapQuest. Don't, if you're going to Muleshoe today, don't rely on me to go. Hey, go to Hereford and turn right. Okay, something like that.
Seems like whenever I drive to Denver, I go through both.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was just a little faux pas, for me this morning. So that's number one. I saw this yesterday, and it kind of excited me just because all these names are familiar to me. And I wanted to get your take on it. The National Baseball Hall of Fame has released the nominees for the Classic Baseball Era Ballot. How do you feel about the Classic Baseball Era Ballot? Or do you feel like if you're going to have a Hall of Fame, then if you weren't good enough to get in as a regular player or a regular executive or manager or contributor, why should there be a classic room?
I don't worry that much about the integrity of the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
It's whether guys, whether they're putting too many guys in or not. I mean, I still want it to feel like you've accomplished something, but at the same time, if they're great players, then I don't have an issue with. I also think the whole thing with Major League Baseball is a joke. I think the baseball writers are a joke, where they don't take their personal biases out, and I think it has made the Baseball Hall of Fame a bit of a joke. And so whatever they're doing, adding people into a classic room or whatever you want to call it, it doesn't bother me at all.
Okay, so here's the names for you. And these are all going to be names that you're, I think, very familiar with for the most. Well, some you will be, and some maybe you won't be. Dick Allen, who also went by Richie Allen, Ken Boyer, and these are among the names. I'm not going to read all of them. Steve Garvey rounding third, and Garvey will score. He was, a terrific player for the Dodgers and part of their World Championship team in 1981. Tommy John, whom the surgery is named after. And went on to have a really good career after his surgery. Dave Parker.
What about the underwear? Are the underwear named after him too?
I don't know.
I'm always confused by that when I see their commercials.
The Tommy John
underwear. Yeah, what is going on there? Why did they name it that?
I don't know. I don't know if the Tommy John underwear is named after him or not.
I'm assuming not.
That would be, in all honesty. I mean, that would be something that generally I would know. That was right. That'd be a piece of trivia that I would know.
Okay.
Dave Parker, and then Luis Tiant, the guy that would pitch, and then his whole backside would then go towards the plate, and his face would be all the way out towards center field. That's how much he turned and rotated when he was pitching. Did you ever see Luis Tiant pitch?
Not that I remember.
Okay, so his full windup, he goes with his full windup, and his body twists. He was a right-hander, and his face would end up looking at center field. And so they kind of had it. They had it like, okay, if something's off with him, it was because he wasn't fully twisting all the way. I mean, it was really a contortion. It's like Fernando Valenzuela. His eyes always looked up, when he was throwing. It was just how he did it. All these guys had a little bit of contentiousness to them. Like Dick Allen, he went by so many different names, but he had a contentious relationship with the media and in his own clubhouse at times. But he was an MVP. He was a Rookie of the Year. He spent 15 years in the big leagues. Ken Boyer, 5-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove player, world champion, had 287 average, 2,143 hits, never with more than 25%. Garvey won an MVP, considered one of the best fielding first basemen of his era, won 4 Gold Gloves, played in 1,207 consecutive games. The MVP of the 78 and the 84 National League Championship Series. He, at one point, got as high as 42.6% of the vote, but has been passed over by select committees 4 times. Part of that was because he had this, and he portrayed this squeaky clean, I'm going to run for Congress someday image, and, holier than thou, and then, late in his career, gets hit with a paternity suit. And he had... this, squeaky clean wife, Cindy Garvey. I can still see the picture of them on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Garvey and Mrs. Garvey. And, they just looked like sweet Polly purebred and the All-American boy. But, that's not always the case. Tommy John, he won 288 games. He won 288 games.
Yeah, that's a little bit surprising.
And that's Hall of Fame stuff right there. He did it over 26 years, 4-time All-Star. The most that he got was 31.7%. He's
how many did he lose?
I don't have that number.
Do you know the ERA?
It doesn't say here. Mm-hmm. But he had the 8th most starts in baseball history and the 20 most innings. He had a shoulder injury.
Clearly a lot of longevity.
Yeah. And I think that was...
Despite the fact that he had the surgery.
And the teams that he played for, he didn't play on great Yankee teams. He played for the White Sox, the Dodgers, the Angels, and the Athletics. And then Dave Parker. And Dave Parker's problem was he was involved in a drug scandal with Pittsburgh. Not necessarily more PEDs as opposed to just plain old cocaine. That was Dave Parker's problem more than anything else. It wasn't steroids or anything like that. It was a joy drug that he was involved in. And maybe a little spreading of that as well.
Spreading, but like selling?
Selling or buying or distributing or helping others get it, So he had a little bit of a candy problem. But 2,700 hits for him, 7-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glove. So I wouldn't have any problem with Garvey getting in, John getting in, Ken Boyer and Louis Tiant, not so much, but Dick Allen, certainly.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
It is Wednesday, November 6th, 2024. Here is Jeff McGuire with this day in sports history.
1929, Providence Steamroller becomes the first NFL team to host a game at night under the floodlights.
Oh, okay.
They lose 16-0 against the Chicago Cardinals at the Cycle Dome in Providence, Rhode Island.
Was that indoors?
No.
No, it was outdoors. Okay. I guess it was floodlights would be outdoors. Yeah, that makes sense.
1974, Dodger Mike Marshall is the first relief pitcher to win the Cy Young Award. 76, one of my favorite people on the planet, Rodney Allison has a touchdown run and connects with Brian Nelson for an 88-yard touchdown pass as number 5 Texas Tech beats TCU 14-10.
Who are some of your favorite people that are not on the planet?
Well, most of the astronauts are pretty cool, but they're not on the planet. They're in its orbit.
Do you have a list, or do you keep
of my favorite people?
Of your most unfavorite people?
Yes.
Okay. Is it written down somewhere?
I probably R2D2 would be high on my list, right?
If he was a real person, yeah.
Oh, he's not a person, so he doesn't count.
Well, no,
Okay,
he's
gotta
a
be
fictional character in a great movie series, but and I would very much love to have an R2D2 unit running around behind me. That would be awesome, but they don't actually exist in that world. Very sad.
So I guess I can't say Chewbacca either then, or any of the Ewoks.
Well, they may exist, but we don't know.
Okay. But they're not people, even if they do exist.
Yeah, well, they would be Ewoks. Completely different race.
Okay. Glad we cleared that up. Thank you very much.
1990, Braves' Dave Justice wins the National League Rookie of the Year. 1995, Art Modell officially announces that the Cleveland Browns are moving to Baltimore, Maryland.
Well, at least he had the guts to announce that as opposed to leaving in the middle of the night.
1997, San Francisco Giants manager Dusty Baker is named the National League Manager of the Year. And in 2004, Trey Haverty catches 11 passes for 158 yards and grabs 2 of Sonny Cumbie's 5 touchdown passes in a 42-17 win over Baylor.
There's a name that maybe sometimes doesn't get the credit that he deserves, Trey Haverty.
Yeah, he was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
I mean, you just don't you don't hear him, walking around and all these people go, remember that catch by Trey Haverty? It's more, other guys.
Happy National Nacho Day.
I'm really not. It takes a special nacho for me. I mean, the nachos that are just served at the concession stand dripping with that cheese, it turns me off. Cheese has to be melted just a certain way for me, not just coated with it either.
I'm not really a ballpark nacho guy either. I'll eat it a little bit, but I think nachos, you get them in a restaurant or at the house.
That's different, yeah.
Cheese and some meat on them and all that good stuff. It's like a completely different food.
Jalapenos?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's a completely different food than what you get at the ballpark or at a stadium.
Happy birthday to Emma Stone, who's 36, Ethan Hawke, 54, Lamar Odom, 45, Sally Field, 78, Maria Shriver, 69, and James Paxton is 36. And on this day, 1977, the Toccoa Falls Dam in Georgia gives way, and 39 people die in the resulting flood. 90 miles north of Atlanta, the Toccoa Falls Dam was constructed of earth across a canyon in 1887. It created a 55-acre lake with 180 feet above the Toccoa Creek. On November 5th, a volunteer firefighter inspected the dam and found everything in order. However, just hours afterwards, in the early morning of November 6th, the dam suddenly gave way. Water thundered down the canyon creek, approaching speeds of 120 miles per hour. And that, this day in sports history.
6:49 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Time for our lucky local winning word. Go to doublet973.com. Enter this word. You could win some money today.
That's
or tomorrow
good.
Or Friday or next week or when we give away $2,500 on December the 5th. Just think about that. A month from today, somebody will be $2,500 richer. They'll be like, how do I get to the radio station? How do I pick up my cash? Is it going to be in a check? Is it Bitcoin? No, it's going to be probably a check. It'll be signed by On Highest.
We won't take it to the event for them?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I've often asked that it be put in cash in an attaché case and then, taken by you with a handcuff to your wrist in the attaché case, and that way you could award it to the winner. I think that would be really cool.
Okay.
The lucky local winning word brought to you by the Home Zone, making your house a home, and Double T 97.3. And you can take this any way you want. Sometimes people steal from others. All right. Don't steal from your employer. Don't steal from the convenience store. Don't steal from the appliance store. Or you can steal a base, S-T-E-A-L, not the kind of steal like in the building kind of steal.
I'm going to guess that's probably more what was meant by this one.
Yeah,
since
steal.
We're doing sports terms.
Or you can steal the ball and go on a coast-to-coast layup in. Okay? Like the Red Raiders did a number of times last night. Federico got a thunderous jam slam last night. I mean, he's 6'11".
A jam slam?
A jam slam. Slam jam. And a jam slam and a slam jam. Okay? Steal. Steal is your word. S-T-E-A-L. Steal. Did you know that a lot of steel is, I think we've talked about this before, cut here in Lubbock?
Yeah.
Like for Las Vegas and Disney World and Jerry's Place.
And Bullfighter drives it all around.
Yeah, he drives it all around.
Yeah.
I wonder if he ever cuts off a piece of the steel for himself going, this was supposed to go to AT&T Stadium, but it's going to my house. And he has a little plaque on his wall at his house. Yeah. This was intended for Magic Kingdom. This was intended for a casino. This was intended for a football stadium in Sheboygan.
Is that, Jeff, is that what the Macho Man Randy Savage, is that what he yells in that commercial? Snap into a Slam Jam?
I don't think so, Bob.
No,
I think it's
Bob?
snap into a Slim Jim.
Slim Jim. It's not a Slam Jam?
Not a Slam Jim.
Slim Jim. You know,
Two completely
did you ever see a
different things.
Slim Jim back in the day? You know what a Slim Jim is?
It's something that helps you unlock a door, isn't it?
No, there was also an exercise. In all seriousness, there was an exercise thing. It looked like a cot, but it was on hinges, and it had canvas and it had aluminum, and it could kind of fold up. You could take it anywhere with you, and people did exercises to strengthen their core and their legs and their back, et cetera, and it was called a Slim Jim.
Okay. It'd be cooler if it was called a Slam Jam.
Man, it's good. Yeah, but they didn't ask me. It was invented when I was still matriculating, Jamie.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Still matriculating. 6:53 this morning here on the Morning Drive. Thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to WT973.com for that, or the mobile app. It's presented by Happy State Bank. The Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973 in case you care to express yourself. Enjoyed the real gymnastics last night by the guy. He went back-to-back nights. Lady Raiders on Monday night, Red Raiders last night. He's really good. I mean, he's cottage industry, these halftime acts. Man, I sure wish when I was really in shape, and I would have loved to have come up with a halftime act that you could just travel the country and, be a one-man band. This guy's got it figured out. I mean, I don't know what they paid him to be here. But you could tell hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of practice, and he's strong, he's flexible, and he's got an act, and it worked for him. Okay, it worked for him, so it was pretty cool.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Yeah, well, really, our whole thought process, Don, the whole time is to do everything possibly wrong to really get them on their heels. So, open the drive up with the false start, get their crowd louder. That was kind of the thought there. Get another penalty to get the 3rd and 15. Not there. So it's kind of funny. I called a run play right there because I knew, again, they were playing 2-man coverage. So try to get Taj on the edge a little bit. Barron felt like he had some grass in the middle, so he checked an RPO, and they covered us up. But again, they all just flooded out of there. So that opened that up to the left. Came back with another play call there on 4th down that we had barely not caught earlier in the game to Josh Kelly right over the middle. It's kind of a bang-bang play. Could have caught it, I felt like, but this good play by the defense. And if you watch that play from the back view, there's a guy sitting right in front of him. I mean, it's right in front of Barron. So Barron throws him left on that play on purpose because of that backer standing right there. Kells makes the phenomenal catch. And then from there, we were just kind of off to the races. But, same thing. Get down there on the 1-yard line. Let's false start. So we've got to run a few more seconds off the clock there. More strategic than anything.
That's awesome. A little sarcasm
I liked
there
his humor at the beginning there. I thought that was good.
Yeah.
Kells. That sounds like you would call a girl who's named Kelly.
Yeah, Kells. Yeah.
Kells. That's funny.
That is funny.
It did feel like Tech was doing everything they could to beat themselves with the false start penalties and all that good stuff, but you found a way to overcome it, which was very nice. Yeah,
I think that as you kind of wind down the season here, and you're playing Colorado this week, and just going on the road and having to face Oklahoma State, and then finishing up with West Virginia. Not that you have to play perfect against those last two teams. I don't even know that you have to play perfect this week, Jamie.
No, I wouldn't say that. But I think you have to play well. Yeah.
I mean, the things that you can control, false start, delay a game, lining up in the neutral zone. Those pre-snap penalties that just drive everybody crazy. I'm sure it drives the players crazy too. I'm sure it drives the guy crazy that's doing it too. I mean, you're sitting on that offensive line. You got somebody snorting across the line from you, ready to, slap your helmet or hit you, or you're already kind of beat up, and you're like anticipating that, and you barely flinch, and then boop, pre-snap penalty. And then we're all going, hey, come on, man, why can't you stay still? And then we can't even stay still in our offices. We got to be thumping a pin. Or can you imagine how many pre-snap penalties I think that I would have if I was just on a daily basis? And I get drawn off sides. I have pre-snap penalties. I get distracted. I get pass interference. Probably illegal procedure. Roughing the quarterback when things don't go my way. I mean, I would be a penalty machine in the office.
So you're saying we shouldn't be bothered by
we can
the
be.
offensive linemen?
Absolutely, we can be.
That jump too early?
Absolutely, we can be. It's another one of those things that it's probably
kind of
harder than it looks.
I mean, they're paid to not jump off the sides, right?
Yes.
That's why we give them a scholarship and
Sure.
NIL money, and all that good stuff.
3 squares a day.
And they're supposed to block
plus
people too. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you're not.
I think.
But I mean, I'm
just like when you're not when you don't hit your sales quota. If that were to ever happen, they remind you of that.
Oh, sure.
Right,
yeah,
and
right.
they say that's your job, Chuck.
That's your job, right? Yeah, that's your
hit
job.
The sales.
It's your job to know that it's Hereford, not Muleshoe, that has the big cow, right?
Well, that's a different story.
It's not let the facts get in the way of a good story. Somebody says this: there were a few times that Donnie Anderson was put in as a safety when Tech was protecting a late lead against a passing opponent. Okay. This: Cowboys keep tanking, they'll be in position to draft Travis Hunter, but probably can't afford to sign him because of what they're paying Dak, CD, and what they will be paying Micah Parsons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate.
The rookie contract would be more affordable.
Seems like the Cowboys need to try to find a way to clear some cap space this offseason.
Yes.
How much of a cap hit is if you just cut Dak now?
Oh, I don't know. That'd be
It's massive.
It'd be expensive, yeah. It'd be really, really expensive. All right, speaking of Travis Hunter, defense coordinator Tim DeRuyter was asked about him. Is he better at wide receiver or corner?
I just have to worry about him on the receiving side. I know he's an extremely explosive player, runs tremendous routes. I think he's got 60 catches and maybe 1 drop. He's a guy that just, again, certain guys have that knack of knowing when to burst, when to, choke it down, when to go up and get it. When they go into scramble drills, he's a guy that's going to get himself open. And, of course, Sanders is going to find him a bunch of those times. On defense, I watched the Baylor game on TV, and so to see him make that play at the end, extremely impressive. I know his movement skills and his physicality as a receiver obviously translates well as a corner. The guy's going to get paid no matter what he decides to do or whatever team drafts him decides to do with him. He's a unicorn. He's a unique talent.
Coach DeRuyter talks with his hands a lot. He's
a banger.
He's a banger on the table. But I mean, that's good awareness by him right off the top to say, I only have to worry about him as a wide receiver. That's really good awareness, right? All right, here's Zach Kitley on what makes Travis Hunter so special from a wide receiving standpoint.
He's a freak, man. I mean, he's really good with his hands at the line of scrimmage, getting hands on guys. He's extremely fast. He's long. Has a knack for the football. He's kind of like a ball hawk kind of guy. I mean, you see a couple. I think he only has 2 picks on the season, but he's around the ball a lot. And I just think he's a very instinctual player. Man, just brings a lot to the table athletically and physically. And I mean, a lot of people, when you watch the game, a lot of people aren't throwing at him, and there's a reason for that. He's probably going to be a top 5 pick, I'm assuming, this next year. And just all that stuff, like I said, man. And clearly he's playing both ways for him, too, and special on offense. But just a rare athlete, man. I haven't seen a guy like that in a really long time that's played it both ways at this high of a level.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you go back to what you said, Jamie, but still, I mean, you just kind of wonder who would be the comparison for him other than maybe Charles Woodson. And he's better than Charles Woodson.
Well, or his coach.
Yeah.
Deion Sanders, who at times played both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they used him sparingly on offense, but that's, if I was an NFL team, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
I would absolutely play him as a cornerback every down, and then I don't know, maybe he's getting a couple plays per series on offense, depending on how long the series is, whatever. An opportunity to get the ball in an incredibly athletic playmaker's hands and see if he can do something. But I don't have him out there running routes every single down. He's got to rest before he's playing corner in the next series.
He's got 60 receptions on the year, 757 yards, 8 touchdowns. His longest was for 46. Speaking of his quarterback, Shadur Sanders, 220 of 300, so 2,591 yards, 21 touchdowns. He has 6 picks. So when you throw the ball that much, I mean, you know, it gives the other team an opportunity to catch it too. You know, by contrast, Baron Morton on the season is 206 of 332, and he has 5 interceptions. Of course, 2 in the last game. 2,300 yards and 19 touchdowns for Baron. And Tech's leading receiver is Josh Kelly, or now we know him as Kells. 68 receptions, 736 yards, 5 touchdowns for Josh Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Man, it was awesome to see him back to full strength last week.
He
was
doubt.
huge.
No.
Now we need to get him and Caleb Douglas both going at the same time, and then we really got something with our receivers and Aiken too. It feels like Coy's been a little bit quiet of late.
And he's got the ability to make a catch. I mean, we've certainly seen that. His hands and his route running is extremely.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, Chuck, Jeff, and our fine listening audience. I ask you a question today leading into this Saturday's football game.
Okay.
You get to pick 2 things that you feel like have to go well. It can be about a player, it can be about a position group, whatever. 2 things that have to go well for the Red Raiders to win this weekend.
Okay. 2 things that have to go well. I'm trying to think how this is going to kind of work in my mind here, because my thought process is if 2, 3, and 28 are clicking offensively, that solves a lot of problems. So that's Baron Morton, Josh Kelly, Taj Brooks. It's kind of Captain Obvious stuff right there, right? But those are your guys that if it's working for them, if they're dialing up plays and keeping people off balance or making big catches like Josh Kelly, 4th and 7, saves the day for you against Iowa State. And then defensively, I mean, I don't think you have to just stop Travis Hunter and Shadur Sanders, but I think you got to contain them to a degree. And I think if you can kind of, so I'm going to say your defensive backs are going to play a huge role in this game. And, having CJ Baskerville back there and Braylon Lux and the other guys, I think I'm going to say your defensive back's going to play a big role in this ball game from a defensive standpoint.
Okay, Jeff?
Offensive line has to play well. Defensive backs have to play well.
Okay, so I think we're all somewhat on the same page here. Okay, for me, on the offensive side of the ball, I think you got to be better on first down. And the reason I think that is because if you're good on first down, it opens up so many options, and that keeps Taj involved. When we saw the offense scuffle a little bit last Saturday is when you were having a hard time being in a position to feel like, hey, we can run it here. When you were losing yards on first down, when you were losing yards because of pre-snap penalties on first down, kind of took Taj out of the great game there for a little while. And you could see how much better you were as an offensive unit when Taj is involved. So be better on first down so ultimately Taj can be involved more, okay? And you can run the football, because this is one of those games where you're trying to play a little bit of keep away. We're trying to keep Colorado's offense off the field as long as possible. We want to use this great rushing attack to shorten the game. And if you're picking up yards on first down, second and third, Taj he's a factor. Okay? If you're not, and it's 3rd and 10, 2nd and 10, he's not as much of a factor. Okay? So that's my offensive side of things. Defensively, I'm in the same ballpark as you guys. You just can't give up big plays.
Yeah.
You can't give up big plays. This is what killed you all season long. Big plays. Okay? Whether you've won, whether you've lost, whatever, big plays have really hurt you on defense. And so we know how talented their receiving core is. They're gonna complete passes. Shadur's gonna throw for a bunch of yards. They're gonna throw it a bunch. Sanders is gonna be spectacular. But just don't let them get them in huge, massive chunks. Don't allow that to happen. And I think you have a good chance to contain them and keep them to, mid-30s or high 30s, which is, in my opinion, a winnable game for you. If you give up a bunch of big plays, then we're talking they're closer to 45, 48, and it feels like that's going to be difficult.
When they get into the red zone area, which is part of this containing and not, they're only 66%, 21 touchdowns out of 32 attempts in the red zone. So
don't give up big plays.
Don't give up big plays.
Yep.
It speaks to what you're saying.
Force them to score in the red zone.
Yeah, and they have scored 27 times in the red zone, but 6 of those have been field goals. So if you could force them to that on 3rd down, they're pretty good. 49 of 107. That's 46%, and their opponents are 37 of 109. However, their opponents have gone for it on 4th down 20 times. They've converted 13 times.
Okay.
So they've been prone to giving up, and maybe that's a lot of 4th and 1s or 4th and 2s.
You would imagine teams are only going for it, and they think they have a really good chance to get it.
Yeah, but it's 65%. That's a pretty high percentage. The other thing that stands out to me is, look, when you've got players like they've got, Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter, you're not running the ball a whole lot. They only have 645 yards in rushing on the season. And their opponents have rushed it against them 1,243 yards. Speaks back to what Jeff said about offensive line and creating opportunities for Taj Brooks and stuff like that. So, and here's the other thing, Jamie. Points off turnovers. Colorado has given up a grand total of 7 points off of all the turnovers.
Wow, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's impressive.
And they have scored 38 off of turnovers. So, if you get the turnover, and you convert points off of it, then that becomes a huge win, because that's something that they have not been used to doing. But you're exactly right about first down, and especially in the Iowa State game where, your 3rd possession, you get sacked on first down, false start on 2nd down. Now you're 2nd and 21. Jeez Louise, hard to be successful on that. The other thing too is on special teams, you've got to stop. It feels like every time you get a big return, you have some kind of holding or block in the back or something that sets you back. And you've got a guy that has the ability to, a couple of guys, put you in a good spot. So just got to keep your hands to yourself, everybody. Right?
No, we want them to be physical.
We want them to be physical, but we don't want them to commit penalties.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Nice to have you with us today. come to you from the First United Bank studio. Look forward to hearing from you on the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to WT973.com or the mobile app. The Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. Do you ever talk to yourself? You ever
When I play tennis.
Okay, when you're coaching yourself, like, hey, you need to do this better, you need to do that better, things like that?
Yeah, usually just, inside voice yelling at myself.
Right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, not out loud that much.
Sure, no. Mm-hmm. Do you ever, like, in your car, talk to yourself out loud saying, hey, idiot, do that better?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I think it's just, for me, it's just a tennis thing.
Does it help you?
Probably not.
Okay. So, Jamie,
I don't ever say positive things to myself, but
you don't say "good job." You don't ever say that to yourself.
Yeah.
Good job. You really struck that one well. Things like that. Red Raiders take down Bethune-Cookman last night, 94-61.
Why? What was that question about in reference to?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just thinking about myself and.
I thought you had a story involved.
No. I do tell myself from time to time that what I need to do better, and sometimes I say it out loud in my car with nobody in the car, and usually it's not complimentary, to myself. It's like, hey, if you'll just do this, then this will happen, and that's a positive. But you've got to do this, okay? Basic fundamentals.
Sometimes I get to work and I, back into my parking spot and I sit there for a minute. I'm like, you can do this. You can make it through this day.
I've noticed that. I've noticed that it takes you longer to get out of your car. Like I happen to be behind you today, pulling into the compound, and you don't just jump right out. So
sometimes I just like the song that's playing and I'll listen to the end of the song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a little driveway moment.
I also, if I'm just being completely honest with you, I don't really want to walk into the building at the same time as someone else.
Okay, even though it's me.
I just don't. I want my time to ease into the day. I don't want to have to make casual conversation. I just
complimentary.
I just want to ease into the day.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's nothing against you or anybody else.
No.
Ease into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that. That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Again, don't take that as a shot at you.
No, I don't.
It's just me being me.
I don't. I've stopped saying good morning to you guys because I know it's like when we're in the hallway because because I know that what Jeff's answer is going to be, and it's
Jeff always has an interesting answer. I always say to Jeff, "How are you?" and I always get an interesting answer. Like it's not what you expect.
Right.
It's
like.
It's well, it's Tuesday, it's
Wednesday. It's good morning. It's Wednesday.
Never say good morning.
Yeah.
I'm not a good morning person.
I know. I said
I'm a morning person.
I say good morning. I say good morning to you, and you'll go
morning.
Yeah, is it? And then sometimes you'll say, "Is it?
Is it?
Is it?"
Clearly, you and I are having different versions of it.
There's a question flying back.
There's a question.
Yeah, but that's Jeff has his little quirks. I have my little quirks.
Right, we all got our.
My little quirks come from nobody really cares about my answer, so I want to see if you're paying attention to what my answer is.
Okay. Oh.
People walk down the hall like, "Hey, what's up? Ceiling tiles."
Yeah.
Sometimes, though, you give an answer that says, without saying, Jeff's not in a great mood, so just let it go.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Right.
Just move on.
I've chosen joy in those days. Just don't speak to him. Just
enjoy. It's just you can tell when somebody's not, ready to chit chat, and so you just walk away.
Wow, a couple people here. I love this nickname, Old Razzle Dazzle. Old Razzle Dazzle says, "We are the same person, JL."
Yeah, I just want to ease into it.
Bucky says, "I'm the same way, JL. Mm-hmm. I try to avoid people in the morning as much as possible." Okay.
Yeah. The hardest time for me is right after I get off the air.
Okay.
Because for 3 hours I've been quote unquote on, right? You're focused, you're dialed in, you're paying attention.
Right.
You're talking
with me and Jeff, so you see a little quiet time.
And then I can go to my office and the door, people start knocking on the door and I just want to climb out the window.
Mm-hmm.
I need like a 15-minute, just relax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a question for me. Chuck, what's the Lady Raiders' chances on Aaliyah Chavez? And 50-50 is a wrong answer.
I think it's much higher than that.
I think it's 90-10.
I would go that high.
I think it's 90-10.
To the point where I will be very, very surprised if she's not a Lady Raider.
I think it's 90-10. I think I'm not involved in these discussions or anything like that. I just...
What?
I know.
What?
I know. Shocks me too.
Frank, hit the breaking news sounder.
Shocks me too. Shocks me too. Why wouldn't you use me? Right?
Especially, I mean, as good of a salesman as you are, you would think you could drum up some money for this new deal that she's, you would think it's going to be a special one.
Okay, so this is going to sound very arrogant, okay, and this is going to sound very unbecoming.
More breaking news.
And you're going to think that this is...
I'm sorry, that was a jerk, Jamie.
That's okay.
I was just trying to be funny.
My ego is maybe out of control. I do feel like I could be a recruiter for a Texas Tech athletic team.
Yeah, you said
humble
that
brag, I do this the best. I feel like that I could do that, sit in the living room and figure out who's the decision maker and ask the right questions and present the program. I do feel like I could do that.
Think so?
I really do. I would love the opportunity. They probably just get tired of me peppering them with questions about these types of things. I'm always interested in the recruiting process, no matter who we've had as an assistant, because the assistant coaches and the head coach does this. I've not really talked to Coach Gerlich about this a whole lot because that's probably... I try not to get too out of line there. But I'm really fascinated by the whole recruiting process, especially for basketball. I've talked to some men's coaches about this and women's coaches over the years about this. I'm just fascinated by the whole thing. And some of them have told me, yeah, you probably could do this, Chuck.
Yeah, recruiting's different than it used to be, Chuck.
It is. Now it's completely different.
So all you have to do now is walk into their living room with a bag, right?
I think it's a little bit more than that.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Just a little bit, though.
I think it's a little bit.
You have to know how much is in the bag.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the other part.
Yeah, it's taken away the great recruiters, that they're out there. It changes what the work that they do.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think it's more than just money. I agree with you, but I do think that. I still think those guys have to be charismatic and be able to get that stuff done too.
In all seriousness, it's a hard job. I do understand that.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.